Good morning. Today is September 30th, 2014, and this is Before the First Cup with Zorie and Lady Pitbull. Good morning on UCY.TV. Good morning, lady.
Hey, how are you?
Okay, waking up.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's like 5 in the morning there, so
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that. Dude, I couldn't do that. Honestly, I couldn't get up at 5 in the morning every morning.
You
So
get kind of used to it.
kudos to you, though. Let me tell you, it's big ups in my book. Big ups in my book, man. Let me tell you. I have a hard time getting here at 9. Holy crap.
Yeah, I do tend to, like, people will be over or something, and I'll, like, at 8 o'clock, I'll be, like, falling asleep on them and stuff.
Oh.
And then other times I can't get to sleep and I'm up at 2 a.m. thinking, okay, now you get 3 hours sleep. You better get your butt to bed.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I couldn't. Oh, and I could never like go to sleep at 2 and get up at 5. Holy crap! If I don't get like my 8+ hours, or wait, my 10+ hours, then I'm a wreck.
Yeah. It gets easier. Your body gets adjusted to a certain time. And then, like, even when you, on the weekends when I sleep in, I still wake up early, except for this last Saturday, I slept till 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I never do that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Must have needed it.
I guess. I woke up and I was in shock. I looked at the clock and I went, no way.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, every once in a while, you got to recharge your batteries like that.
Hmm. And plus, my roommate's gone for a week. She went visiting family, and so the house is real quiet.
Oh, wow.
So.
There you go. That's kind of a way to sleep in if it's all quiet.
Yeah. And I have those, like, motel curtains, that you can't see through. They have, like, rubber on the back.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and so even when we're up in all hours of the night, it looks like there's nobody here or we're sleeping.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Well, because we keep late hours, and you know how cops are. They're always patrolling, looking for people that are up or anything like that. And so...
Do they?
Oh, yeah. Like, they'll notice certain people's houses, they're up, like, late at night. And, yeah, they patrol neighborhoods all the time.
Well, I know they patrol the neighborhoods, but I didn't realize they were looking for people who were up all night.
They look for all kinds of stuff. Any kind of... I don't know. They just keep logs. It's weird.
I guess if if you're up all night every night, that might be a sign that you're using meth or
Or
crack.
you're just into computers like I am.
Well, there you go. There you
Yeah,
go. That's
but
ticket there. Awesome. Oh my God. It doesn't mean that I'm not brain dead. I'm still like,
uh,
Oh, but I do have lots of, got lots and lots of, freaking articles here.
I have one that I don't know. It's from the College Fix. Public University Sex Week includes negotiating successful threesomes event.
What?
Yeah, kid you
Oh
not.
my God, they are just tearing down the moral fabric of
Oh,
our. Yeah, Jack said tweaker watch. That was cute. Yeah, they're just tearing down the freaking moral fabric of the
ah,
society.
no
I mean,
kidding.
what the hell is up with that?
Says the University of New Mexico has launched its first ever Sex Week observance this week with a controversial agenda that includes workshops such as how to be a gentleman and still get laid, negotiating successful threesomes, face oral, and BJs and beyond. Seminars that have prompted concern from some conservative students on campus. It's gross and offensive, said 21-year-old Jade Patterson in an interview Monday with the College Fix. Patterson is vice president of Students for Life, UNM, and she and her group recently penned letters voicing concern about the events to the dean of students and the campus newspaper. That is going, and it's like, what was it? Just about a week or so ago, we were finding out about this one college where you had to fill out a questionnaire, for to get your grants and stuff about your sex life, how many people you slept with, and for
Mm-hmm.
the same partners. I mean, this is nothing's private anymore. Nothing's, yeah, you're
No.
right. The morals are just out the window.
Except that that would be a fantastic all-girl punk band named BJ's and Beyond.
There you go.
That would be a good girl punk band name.
Right.
It'd have to be punk rock though. Um,
Yeah. It
but
would
I
have.
mean, like I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. I don't remember how freaking long ago. I mean, Antonin Scalia was giving a freaking speech at like UCLA or something like that about how the virtues of having orgies.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, yeah, that happened some time ago. I
Yeah,
remember that. And
and
he's a
like,
freaking Supreme Court justice. Hello, what the hell are you talking about, dude? Are you freaking
yeah, it's crazy.
crazy? Well, this is
Yeah.
how these people up in the upper echelons operate. And they need to get like kindergartners and college kids like completely sexually active. And that's
Well,
why
look at
they've
the
got
eighth.
sex
That
ed in third grade, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and then in eighth grade they have, the girls up in front of the class that are supposed to be role playing as lesbians. I mean, come on.
Right, right. That is nasty. And any freaking teacher that I would ever hear doing that deserves to be fired and freaking charged with child molestation.
I mean, yeah, I have lesbian friends. In fact, I have some lesbian friends that have kids that they've adopted, or been inseminated, and they're wonderful parents. But they don't even talk about this stuff with their kids. It's I don't know, to push that on kids is wrong. Period.
It is. It's well, what did I just say? It's not even only wrong, but it's like freaking
Moral.
child molestation.
Yeah,
And you need to be
yeah.
charged. But they're trying to make it become normal, and this is why this is the deal. And I was explaining to my roommate last night. I mean, I've got gay and lesbian friends. Don't get me wrong. Whatever you people, whatever they want to do in the privacy of their own home is
Yep.
cool with me. Just don't bring the rest of society like in to
To
the
your bedroom.
fold. Yeah, dude. I'm not down with it. And frankly, there's an agenda afoot, and it's a population control agenda, and that's basically the bottom line.
Yeah. It is. That's why they're pushing it because, you can't reproduce if you're with the same sex.
That's correct. Absolutely. If you're a woman and you hate men, you're never going to have kids. And if you're a man that can't stand women, well, you're never going to have kids, you know?
Mm.
So, I don't know. It's just it drives me crazy. And then, with the elite, they're so rich and so-called
Right, they get
powerful.
bored. They got,
They get bored, absolutely. They don't have anything better to do than to start dinking each other in the rear end, man. That's what these people do. Ask freaking George W. Bush and little Bandar Bush, You see them kissing in the lawn, on the south lawn, in the flower garden, and out for a windy stroll. You know what I
yeah.
mean? You remember those pictures? Holy crap. That's what these people are about. And then, you got the Michelle Obama, with
Oh,
her,
God.
perhaps she's a tranny.
And
That's how Joan Rivers got herself killed by saying that. So, hey, there you go. They want everybody to be like them. It's just Rome gone insane is what it is. And that's what the start of the fall of Rome was, was just this path that we're
mhm.
on in this country.
Yeah. Yeah, no moral standards.
Mm-mm.
And it has
None.
nothing to do with religion. People, they always relate the two, but it isn't. A moral standard is, the respect for yourself and others,
Well,
and
yeah, it's like the golden
yeah,
rule. Any
right.
fucking atheist worth his salt is going to go, well, hell yeah, I respect the golden rule. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And that's basically the bottom freaking line.
That's mine,
Cause no harm to others.
right.
There's no religious footing in that statement.
I agree, because I'm not really a religious person, but I believe in the golden rule and I was raised by it.
Mm-hmm.
And put yourself in the other person's shoes,
Big
and you
time.
have no right to judge others. And,
That's right.
yeah, but anyway, that story caught my eye. I just thought that's so ridiculous.
Well, here we go. This kind of goes along the same damn lines. Here's a cop that was arrested in a prostitution sting is set to get up to $10,579 a month in paid leave.
What?
Yeah, a Glendale police sergeant arrested last month for allegedly soliciting a prostitute will make more than $10,000 a month on paid leave until he retires at the end of 2015, records show. The arrangement was reached months before Sergeant Valhik Mardikians. Yeah, I swear to God, that's how it's pronounced. Sergeant Christ, I can't even say that. Mardikian's arrest during an investigation of a Nevada prostitution ring, the Glendale News Press has reported. Mardikian was one of 5 officers who filed a lawsuit in 2010 against the Glendale Police Department alleging discrimination, retaliation, and harassment because they're Armenian.
What?
What? Oh,
Oh,
fool.
so that's why they got arrested, not because they were hiring prostitutes.
Well, hang on. He was demoted in early 2012 following claims that he was pressuring fellow officers to join the lawsuit, but he successfully appealed and was reinstated last year. Under the settlement deal, Mardikian will receive $10,579 a month in paid leave through December 29th of 2015, which he will be required to retire from the police department according to settlement documents. There's always a risk of a bigger payout if a case proceeds to trial, Glendale City Attorney Mike Garcia said in an email. In this case, there was also a risk of attorney's fees if Mardikian recovered any amount of money. Jeez, what a dick. Sorry. The 49-year-old will still be eligible for his retirement through the California Public Employees Retirement System. The city will also pay Mardikian an additional $24,792 to be distributed over a 1-year period, while the city's insurance company, AIG, will pay $250,000 to his attorney, according to the settlement. Wow. Oh
Wow.
my
And that's taxpayers'
God.
money. It's not the city's money, it's the taxpayers' money. Why are they putting up with this
All
stuff?
right, here we go. Meanwhile, Mardikian is due in a Nevada courtroom on October 22nd after he was booked in the Clark County Jail for allegedly offering an undercover vice detective $250 plus $25 in gas money for sex. Garcia would not comment on whether Mardikian's arrest in Nevada would have any effect on his settlement, saying that it was a personal matter. Glendale Police Chief Rob Castro said that once Mardikian's misdemeanor case in Nevada was over, there would be an internal police department investigation, but he did not say what sanctions Mardikian might face, if any. So there you go. I mean, if you're caught in prostitution ring, my goodness. So
They're not above the law or
how
nothing.
far have we fallen? Really? I mean, seriously. It just
Hmm.
makes me sick, man. Unbelievable. Thank God that story's over. But this guy's gonna be just kicking back on the beach, just making all this bank for doing nothing. I mean, that's welfare.
While people in the community are struggling, we are paying off these kind of fines and penalties and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, it's beyond the pale. Let me tell you, beyond the pale. It's hard to even deal with anymore. And as things just go spiraling lower and lower and lower and lower, it's just gonna get so much worse. And now with all these so-called children coming in from across the border, I mean, the sex trafficking child sex rings are going to be just exploding right now.
Yeah, I seen an article where they put these immigrants in every state now.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. They've got to spread them all thin. They've got to make sure all those children are taken in, and the pedophiles out there are rampant, and they're willing to pay whatever to have an hour or two with a little kid.
Or house them,
Willing to pay.
house them, offer to house them. It's pathetic.
It's sick, man. It's so freaking. It makes me freaking want to puke. I just want to. Oh, I can't even say that on air. You know what I mean? It's just.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Remember yesterday we were talking about like the banks putting restrictions on withdrawals and stuff.
Hmm.
Well, my roommate heard us talking about that only from my end. She didn't hear your end of it, but she went to go to the bank, and all of the computers at her bank were completely down, and it was down for the entire day. And she came
Oh.
home last night, and she's like, "Oh, I heard you talking about that, and oh my God, all the freaking computers were down at the bank." And she's like, "I remember what you said," and she's kind of was freaking out about it a little bit. So,
That's good though.
Yeah.
That's a sampling of what it's bound to happen eventually.
right. So she's like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna make plans to get my money out of there," and yeah, you absolutely should.
Right, get it safe. You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. That's exactly what she did.
Good girl.
First thing.
And more people should pay attention to that because, I mean, people panic, but I'm sure it was a computer problem, but next time it might not be a computer problem.
Right. That's correct. That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only difference, though, between us and Cyprus is we print money. It's not like they need the money to pay off our debt. We just print up money.
Yeah.
Even still,
Yeah.
it's legit money.
I just thought I'd throw that in and mention it. It's not really.
Well, good. I'm glad, she related the two things together and did something about it. I keep trying to tell my mom to get her money out of the bank.
Me too. I'm like, come on, get out of the stocks, get out of them banks, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no,
Yeah.
everybody's so entrenched and so ingrained in their thinking. Um,
And it's so much more convenient, just to, it's convenience is what it is. They've got us being lazy. Like, I hate running around paying bills when I can just do it online. It's paid.
right. But then all your information's just floating around out there when you do it that way. I'd ra-
Well,
I'd rather
no.
write checks and freaking send them through the mail
Well,
myself.
I do it through the bank. The bank pays them all,
Yeah.
you know, or I do it through PayPal, which I love PayPal because none of your information goes out over the internet.
Well, yeah, but then PayPal could like go, oopsie, we made a mistake. It happened to a friend of ours. Um, they lost like $500. PayPal lost 500 of their dollars. And
How'd that happen?
it was a big freaking fiasco. Oh my god. And then
Oh.
she tried to like call them and was like, look, you guys are, you didn't, you took $500 out of my account and this is not correct, blah, blah, blah. And they never ever reimbursed her. And it was like hell trying to get through to anybody that was a human being there.
Well, I've never had a problem getting through to them. I've been with them since day one.
I remember she was toiling with them for 3 straight freaking weeks.
Wow.
Just toiling with them, and it never got resolved. So.
Wow.
Nightmare.
Banks can be nightmares. That's why I keep the bare minimum in there just to pay my bills.
Yeah.
So, because I don't trust them. Never have, never will. But it's a convenience.
I'm talking with a mute on. Let's just kind of skip around with the topics here, I guess. Here's one that's crazy as hell, and I'm a photographer, right? So this struck me as particularly messed up. So it says the U.S. Forest Service wants to fine you $1,000 for taking picture in the forest.
What?
The Forest Service oversees 36 million acres of wilderness. In a month, you won't be able to take a picture in them without getting a fine, even if new rules are unconstitutional. It says this week's most profoundly wrong-headed display of non-violent press infringement comes from an unlikely source, the U.S. Forest Service. New rules are being finalized in November, state that across this country's gloriously beautiful, endlessly photogenic 36 million acres of designated wilderness area administered by the United States Forest Service, members of the press who happen upon it will need permits to photograph or shoot video. And yes, it does sound like one of the dumbest things you've ever read. It's pretty clearly unconstitutional, said Greg Leslie, legal defense director at the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press in Alexandria, Virginia. They would have to show an important need to justify these limits, and they just can't. Wait, gets better. Liz Close, the Forest Service acting wilderness director, didn't cite any real-life examples of why policy is needed or what problems it's addressing. She didn't know whether any media outlets had applied for permits in the last 4 years. The slap you just heard was more than 34 million American hikers hitting palm to forehead. And the clicks you heard came from the nature photographers from coast to coast ignoring the new rules. Maybe outrage shouldn't be your first reaction. Maybe it's good for the forests. You won't have the news crews traipsing about, trampling leaves. You won't get as frustrated as you might otherwise have been when you pass some dude with a camera on the trail. Maybe we'll be better off even. That's wrong. The Organic Act of 1897, the legislation that kicked off in a big way the establishment of modern U.S. Forest Service, clearly provides emphasis added, the jurisdiction, both civil and criminal, over persons with such reservation shall not be affected or charged by reason of the existence of such reservations, except so far as the punishment of offenses against the United States therein is concerned. The intent and meaning of this provision being that the state wherein any such reservation is situated shall not, by reason of the establishment thereof, lose its jurisdiction, nor the inhabitants thereof their rights and privileges as citizens, or be absolved from their duties as citizens of the state. And that's how it was originally written in 1897. For any journalist, both parts of that statement are very important. All U.S. citizens enjoy the right of the First Amendment, and courts have very clearly upheld the rights of a citizen to take photographs in a public place, even the unpopular ones, even ugly, boring ones of trees and mountains. As for the duties of citizens of the state, well, it's called the Fourth Estate for a reason. That's what the U.S. Forest Service is hurting here. I'm sorry. That's what the U.S. Forest Service is hurting here. The understanding that the public has a right to this land and a right to know about it, with media more expressive than words. Let's see. Close of the Forest Service doesn't seem to agree. She said the agency was implementing the Wilderness Act of 1964, which claims to protect wilderness areas for being exploited for commercial gain. What?
What?
What a silly cow.
Oh, well, there goes Smokey the Bear.
Yeah, well, that's that. Yeah, exactly, Smokey the Bear. This is all Agenda 21, guys. Okay, that's kind of a distortion, really, kind of, says Peter Essick, an award-winning National Geographic photographer who has worked with the Forest Service before, as well as other agencies, to oversee American wilderness to produce truly remarkable work. When the Wilderness Act was created in 1964, there was plenty of people doing photography. He says nothing in the Wilderness Act says photography is not approved or banned. When he goes out to shoot, Essick takes the utmost care to follow the rules to leave no trace, and he does it with 65 pounds of gear on his back. He's a nature photographer. Not trashing the place is pretty much rule number one. Yeah, you leave it better than you find it. There's another layer to this, too. The USFS and other agencies have used photography since their inception to tell the story of the wilderness. All of the words in the world can't show you as much as one beautiful Ansel Adams photo. Yeah, exactly. I was thinking about Ansel Adams. Coincidentally, Essex spent lots of time photographing the Ansel Adams Wilderness, named for the famous photographer for his own book. Yes, and I have those books right there on my shelf. I'm looking at them right now. Ansel Adams ruled. Over and over again, the establishment of an American wilderness, the national parks, the core idea is that you can escape to a more primitive but nonetheless essential part of this country. Has been referred to as America's best idea. It's why city-dwelling, suburb-raised punks like me can have so many feelings toward the land that is filled our lungs with fresh air and our hearts with wonder. It's why I can swell with pride when my little sister, gritting her teeth through cuts and tears, finished her first hike. It's why I look forward to enjoying it with my children when they come along. That feeling needs to stick around, and believe me, I get it. No one wants annoying reporters or photographers damaging the environment, even if breaking news is happening. This is the only case in which this rule should apply, and it happens to be entirely unenforceable. wilderness areas have had it bad enough already. The United States pumps on the order of nearly 60 million short tons of carbon monoxide into the air, blah, blah, blah. The EPA tells us we dump 1.2 million tons of untreated sewage stormwater and industrial waste into water that eventually is supposed to make it back into their faucet, your hot shower, and your water bottle that you give your kids on a hike, and no one sees. But this is all just running on. Okay, but do good people running the USFS really think that charging a journalist $1,500 for a permit and a fine of $1,000 per shot to those who don't get one is going to aid that cause? Do they think that adding a roadblock to the essential act of news gathering and creation of free publicity for the forest is a wise decision? This guy is kind of bantering on.
Yeah,
Obviously,
it's always got me that like federal land and government land, and I thought that all the land belonged to all of us, and that they just took care of it for us, but it was our land,
supposed to be.
Right.
Absolutely.
And like in Nevada, the government owns 80% of the land in Nevada. Now, how crazy is that?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the reason why all that Bundy Ranch crap happened too.
Yeah, I mean, it's Agenda 21. We are not going, and without being able to own property, I mean, there goes all your freedoms. Really,
right?
If you really look at it,
mm-hmm.
The right to own property.
Well, and all this is like really an Agenda 21.
Mm-hmm.
It's an Agenda 21 agenda to get people slowly out of the wilds and rewild the wild.
And put them all in cities.
Yeah.
No rural areas anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing. And they're all UN biosphere sites. So now they're saying, oh, no more photographs for you people. And how are they going to freaking enforce that anyway? With drones?
I mean, because
flying drones around and like to take pictures of us taking pictures.
I mean, who doesn't take pictures out in the woods? I mean, there's so much beauty out there, and like the other thing someone mentioned in chat, they're always pushing hunt animals with cameras. Well, that's not going to happen. Then, I mean, this thing about so many laws. I mean, so many rules. I mean, they're just, you can't go a day without breaking them. And they put out more every year. Thousands of new laws every year. I mean, how do they even think up these things? They sit in a room and go, okay, we need to make up a law. Come on. Put our heads together. Come up with something. Oh, yeah, taking pictures in the forest. That's a good one.
Right, exactly. There's no way they're going to be able to enforce this crap. There's just no way in hell.
But sorry for the person that they do catch and fine.
Oh yeah, and it's totally unconstitutional, and some judge needs to step in and stop that. It's just ridiculous.
Well, they may not enforce it in full force now, but those laws stay on the books, and so they can be used at any time. They can be used later. I mean, You could still be arrested for spitting on the sidewalk, if an officer wants to go that far.
Or the law can be used selectively against certain people and not against others. So,
right. Yeah, so it's like that thing that I read. Government can only control you through crimes. If you're a criminal, if you're not a criminal, you're free to do whatever you want. So what do? They make so many laws that are subject to interpretation.
That's right.
And like the cops nowadays, they don't know what the laws are. You hear them all the time arresting people for something really outrageous, and you go, what? The cops, they make up laws in their heads according to how mad they are at you.
Mm-hmm. Did you hear about the speed camera that generates over $77,000 in just one day?
Wow, where at?
Yeah, here we go. We'll do this. Um, it
Wow.
says a speed camera in Brooklyn tallied a bank busting 1,551 tickets in a single day this summer, according to the Department of Transportation. At $50 a pop, the July 7th ticket blitz generated $77,550 for police city coffers. Well, not for police, but for city coffers. The camera is located near Ocean Parkway at the end of a 400-foot exit ramp, a good amount of distance for drivers to adjust their speeds, a DOT spokesman said. Local politicians are split over the controversial camera. The area's city councilman, Clam Cham Dutch, whatever, praised it for making the roadways safer. Yeah, right. If anyone is speeding, they deserve a summons, he told the blog. But Councilman Mark Traeger has blasted the camera's location as a speed trap. Oh, you think? The speed camera violations are issued to anyone going more than 10 miles per hour over the speed limit, which in this case is 30 miles an hour. Speedsters are sent violations within the mail within 30 days. So someone slowing down to 50 to 40 miles per hour or from 45 to 35 would not receive a violation, a DOT spokesperson said. The city is currently adding 120 new speed cameras near public schools, expected to be in place by the end of 2015. The agency said earlier this month that its existing 20 cameras issued 183,000 tickets since January's, netting about $9.2 million since January. And there you go.
Oh, there was one guy I remember at one of the Tea Party meetings, and he got a ticket in the mail for $450 for something that it had happened like 3 months prior, and they were just mailing him the ticket. He was unglued. I mean, he went to court and everything, and he still had to pay. They had a picture of his, and he had rolled through a stop sign or something like that, or hit the red light, after it turned yellow.
Yeah.
But yeah, $450. I mean, $50 would be, I've never heard of a $50 ticket that way. It's always up in the hundreds.
Man, that's crazy. I mean, this is just for speeding.
Mm-hmm.
And just the amount of money that generates. Man, I mean, what are they doing with all that crap? What are they doing with all this money? They're just spending it, and on their private jets and their big dinners and their dinner parties and all this crap. That's what it's going for. It's not going to fix roads or anything that this stuff's supposed to be intended for. It's like whining and dining the elite.
Oh yeah, when they need money, they just put up different speed signs. Like here, they just did this last month. You're coming over on this one road, it's 4-lane highway. You're coming across the bridge, and when you get to the other side, the speed limit all of a sudden goes from 45 to 30 for a block, and then it goes back up to 40. And the cops we've seen them. I have a radar detector, so I caught it right off. But they just changed that last week with no notice to anybody.
Right.
And so they're just going to be raking in the bucks until everybody gets used to that little one block, go down to 30.
It's ridiculous. I hate that. And that's entrapment. That's entrapment. Same with these stupid cameras. They're complete entrapment.
Well, the cameras are ridiculous. I mean, I remember my friend, she got the first ticket coming out of San Francisco that you had to have your headlights on when you have your windshield wipers on.
What?
Yeah, in California, if your windshield wipers are on, your headlights have to be on.
Crazy.
And she was coming out of San Francisco, and they got her on camera. She got a ticket in the mail 2 weeks later, and she was one of the first ones to receive a ticket for having her windshield wipers on and no headlights.
Oh my goodness.
That's what I mean about ridiculous, stupid little laws that they can snatch you up with.
Yeah, absolutely. And they don't, it's not like they post them on the highway so that you know what's going on.
Oh no, they don't even inform you. I mean, they usually at the beginning of the year they'll say, "Well, these are the new laws for, 2014." But in the meantime, they are putting out laws all during the year too,
Sure.
and it's a ignorance of the law is no excuse. But most people don't have the time or the wherewithal to find out what laws are put into effect.
Right. Well, here there's like a couple of laws that are on highway signs, like the seatbelt law, click it or
And
ticket.
littering law.
Yeah, littering law, that's another one. But there's also a law that they have on the highway signs here in Michigan that if an emergency vehicle is on the shoulder, then you must get over into the farther lanes. I mean,
That's here too.
that's posted. I mean, that's common sense, but at least they have it posted so that people will, you know that it's a law.
Most people do that automatically though, but I mean that's just another way for them to get you.
Right.
You know.
Absolutely, man. Let me tell you, it's just ridiculous. I can't even deal with any of this crap.
I know, and then the amber alerts, that are up on the freeways. Now they're using it for buckle up or ticket. If you see someone driving erratically, call 911.
Right, right.
All these things that are coming up on that to where people won't even pay attention when there is an amber alert.
See something, say something.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me puke.
Yeah, it does.
Makes me puke, man. I can't even deal with it.
And then we might get that woman back. She's the one that Napolitano's the one that started that. See something, say something.
You big sis.
Yeah, and now she's at the top of the list for being our new attorney general.
Oh no! How do you know that?
It was in an article. He's got him, her, Amelia. I always forget his name. Emmanuel.
Emmanuel.
Yeah, he's up there on the list too.
Way. I mean, he's freaking worse criminal than Holder is.
I know, and he quit his job and went to be governor or mayor of Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's up there on the list too.
Oh my God! Well, speaking of criminal, Eric Holder, new details have emerged on Operation Fast and Furious as a second judge orders release of documents. Want me to read this? You there?
Yes, please do.
Cool. All right. Says 2 days before criminal Eric Holder announced his resignation, U.S. District Court Judge John D. Bates ruled that the Department of Justice must release details on documents related to Operation Fast and Furious. Judge Bates ruled that the DOJ must submit the materials sought by the watchdog group Judicial Watch no later than October 22nd. Yay, Judicial Watch! With his ruled, Bates denied a motion for more time from the DOJ, stating, "At best, it means that the department has been slow to react to his court's previous July 18th, 2014 order. At worst, it means the department has ignored that order until now." The judge also called the government's request for more time unconvincing. Judicial Watch has been involved in several Freedom of Information Act lawsuits against the Obama administration. Specifically, Judicial Watch seeks information related to the failed gun running plot known as Operation Fast and Furious, in which the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, the bat faggots is what I like to call them, knowingly sold guns to Mexican drug cartels. According to a report in the LA Times, letting guns walk was the tactic whereby the ATF purposely allowed licensed firearms dealers to sell weapons to illegal straw buyers. hoping to track the guns to Mexican drug cartel leaders. And
Well, it's
what's
more like they forced those gun dealers to do it.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Oh my God! And what do they go after people for? Straw buying. All right.
Mm-hmm.
The program led to arrests of smaller criminals, but to date, no cartel leaders have been arrested. Of course not. And no bat faggots have been arrested either. Instead, Border Patrol agent Brian Terry lost his life along with hundreds of Mexican citizens on the border. These deaths can be traced directly to the weapons sold under Fast and Furious. As much as the Obama administration and criminal Eric Holder would like for this to go away, it has not. In fact, ATF agents have continued to speak out against the program. The Obama administration has fought efforts to clear up the whole debacle. On June 20th, 2012, President Obama issued executive privilege to keep the documents from the public. Oh, really?
I remember that.
Criminal Holder was found in contempt by the House of Representatives for his refusal to hand over documents related to the operation. These documents will likely indicate that criminal Eric Holder knew more than he admitted while under oath. So in other words, he lied while under oath.
I can see another computer crash.
Yeah. Some more hard drives getting some more iPhones getting destroyed.
I think this resignation all centers around that.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. According to heavily redacted emails, Holder was told about Fast and Furious in memos in July, October, and November of 2010. On March 10th, 2011, Holder testified before a Senate subcommittee that he had just learned about Fast and Furious gun walking allegations. On May 3rd, 2011, he was asked by Representative Darrell Issa, chairman of the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform, when he first learned about Fast and Furious. I'm not sure of the exact date, Holder claimed, but I probably heard about Fast and Furious for the first time over the last few weeks. Emails proved Holder's prior knowledge, he became the first sitting attorney general to be held in contempt. That's why we call him Criminal Eric Holder here. Bates is not the only district judge to rule on the case. Okay, so that's it.
But what? How stupid do they think we are that somebody in the ATF just decided to do this without the attorney general having something to say about it? It came from there. Yeah.
That's right. Orders usually come from the top down. So, the buck's supposed to stop with the attorney general. Hello.
And they say it even went higher,
Right. Exactly.
From just what they've got already. But, either they're going to go after Holder for this, and then he'll go to prison, and then as Obama leaves office, he will pardon him.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it works.
Yep. Because once he's an American citizen, he hasn't got the protection of the government. So, I think they probably made some agreement that he goes to prison, and then he probably goes to the rich man's prison, and then they release him as Obama leaves office, is what I see gonna come down.
Fed, baby.
And then Benghazi's coming back to haunt him too.
It needs to.
I watched that whole C-SPAN thing with Gowdy as that special committee. I mean, they can even subpoena the president, and he brought out a lot in that time. And I think their next meeting is in October 13th or October 3rd. I'm going to watch that one too.
It's in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. And I mean, and in the meantime, he has demanded papers, and they're going to be sending out subpoenas and stuff for this next meeting. So, I think Gowdy's really, he asks the hard questions that just blow my mind.
Well, it's one thing asking hard questions. It's an entirely different ball of wax to actually convict these criminals.
That's why I'm watching this very closely because I mean, he doesn't let them off when they try and go around the question. You know, I mean,
Hmm.
most usually in the committees that I watch, they'll ask a question and then the person responds with something off the wall and goes off another way and they don't go back to it. But Gowdy, every time he goes, answer the question. You're not answering the question. Yes or no. And he holds them to it until they finally say yes or no. And
Yeah, but I mean, even if they do say yes and they incriminate themselves or incriminate the lot of what they were doing, it still goes unpunished.
right,
I
and
mean,
that's
it
what
seems like it's all just hot air being exchanged into microphones.
I know, and that's what I've always said is like, why do we have these committees if no one is ever held accountable? But Gowdy swears over and over that someone's going to go behind bars on this, and that's why I've been watching this one so close.
I hope so, because
I do too.
it's driving me crazy that the freaking the lunatics are running the asylum here.
And yeah, and you know, they're always when you listen to a committee, because I listen to a lot of the committees. I'm interested in that, and they say over and over, well, we want to get down to really what happened so we can make sure it doesn't happen again. But very seldom do they ever say someone is going to be held accountable. And in this one, Gowdy saying someone is going to go to jail. Someone is going to be held accountable. I promise this family. And I mean, he seems so sincere, and I want to believe him. But that's why this is very important to me. I'm really following this because it could be a turnaround if someone actually goes to jail, if someone actually gets put behind bars for this. It could be a turnaround.
We hope. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if the criminal holder goes behind bars where he belongs, that would be like pretty unprecedented.
Right. Well, I
I
don't know
mean,
about Holder. I haven't really followed that one because, I mean, there's so much cover up to it. I've been watching the Benghazi though because a lot of people are really because of what they were told to stand down when Americans were being, under attack. That's a biggie.
well, what about the damn bat faggots on the ground that were actually coercing the gun shop owners to sell to these straw? You know what I mean? What
Right.
about those
Forcing them.
guys? Those
Right.
guys need to be strung up by the short hairs as well and put into jail. I mean, hello. I mean,
Right, because they don't have to follow an unconstitutional law. Neither does the military.
exactly. I mean,
Mm.
they're supposed to be part of an agency that monitors this crap, yet they're the ones that are out there doing it, just like the
Mhm.
freaking FBI running around setting people up
Yeah,
as
forcing people to
terrorists.
commit a criminal act.
Right. And you know what? This crap ain't washing anymore. Let me got news for you.
No, and neither is this ISIS. I mean, the more I watch it and stuff, the more I know that there's no such that it's all lies, all of it. You know, and
Yeah.
and people are waking up to that though. You hear and I read a lot of comments on videos. I'll go watch them, and the comments show people are really finally waking up. Now we just have, like I always say, we got to find some solutions here other than just talking about what's going on. How do we change it? The ballot doesn't work anymore. So what's your next step? I don't know.
Sorry. I'm talking with a mute on. Whoopsie.
Yeah, I don't know. And I'm on the board of supervisors. I'm not quitting on them either. I sent off another letter to Larry Lee demanding to know what he has done in the agreement of them to investigate the chemtrails. And I'm not going away on this. And I'm keeping all the copies of my letters, and I'm going to be putting them in the paper.
Good. Good for you.
Yeah. So
We gotta try and hold their feet to the fire somehow.
all right, and you got to start somewhere, and these people got to know that their feet are going to be held, and they are going to be held accountable for what they agreed to. They can't just send one little paragraph off to the senators and representatives and expect, say, well, we investigated it. I'm not going
Right.
for it.
Well, nobody wants to do their damn jobs anymore. That's the bottom line. Everybody wants to get paid to do nothing, and
Hmm.
I've got a perfect dovetail segue story into that too.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. Here's a report that says Obama has missed over half of his second term daily intel briefings. Now, this is an asshole that is supposed to be doing his freaking job. That's what he was elected to do, and he's not doing it. It says a new Government Accountability Institute report reveals that President Barack Obama has attended only 42.1% of his daily intelligence briefings. Known officially as Presidential Daily Brief or PDB in the 2079 days of his presidency through September 29th of 2014. That says all right, so the Government Accountability Institute, GAI. The GAI also included a breakdown of Obama's Presidential Daily Brief, PDB, attendance record between terms. He attended 42.4% of his PDBs in his first term and 41.3% in his second. So the GAI's alarming findings come on the heels of Obama's 60 Minutes comments on Sunday, wherein the president laid the blame for the Islamic State's rapid rise squarely at the feet of his National Director of Intelligence, James Clapper.
Yep. I think he was telling the truth when he said he learns things from the news.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. I think our head of the intelligence community, James Clapper, has acknowledged that I think they understand what had been taking place in Syria, said Obama. That doesn't even make any sense. According to the Daily Beast, reporter Ellie Lake, members of the defense establishment were flabbergasted by Obama's attempt to shift the blame. Either the president doesn't read the intelligence he's getting, or he's bullshitting. A former senior Pentagon official who worked closely on the threat posed by Sunni jihadists in Syria and Iraq told the Daily Beast. On Monday, others in the intelligence agency similarly blasted Obama and said he's shown long-standing disinterest in receiving live, in-person PDBs that allow the commander-in-chief the chance for critical follow-up, feedback questions, and the challenging of flawed intelligence assumptions. It's pretty well known that the president hasn't taken in person intelligence briefings with any regularity since the early days of 2009, an Obama security staffer told the Daily Mail on Monday. He gets them in writing. Really? The Obama security staffer said the president's PDBs have contained detailed threat warnings about the Islamic State dating back to before the 2012 presidential election. All he's interested in doing is playing golf.
Well, that's not in his job description. What they have, all he has to do is go out there and read the prompter and do as he's told. I mean, so why go to these meetings?
Well, unless someone very senior has been shredding the president's daily briefings and telling him that the dog ate him, highly accurate predictions about ISIL have been showing up in the Oval Office since the 2012 election, the Obama security staffer told the Daily Mail. This is not the first time questions have been raised about Obama's lack of engagement and interest in receiving in-person daily intelligence briefings. On September 10th, 2012, the GIA released similar reports showing that Obama had attended less than half, 43.8%, of his daily intelligence briefings at that point. When the Washington Post columnist Mark Thiessen mentioned the GIA's finding in his column, then White House Press Secretary James Carney, God, I hate that guy, dubbed his findings hilarious. But the very next day, U.S. Libyan Ambassador Chris Stevens and 3 American staff members were murdered in Benghazi. As Breitbart News reported at the time, the White House's very own presidential calendar revealed that Obama had not received his daily intel briefing in the 5 consecutive days leading up to the Benghazi attacks. Wow, do you think that's a little bit culpable, you guys?
You're no kidding.
Ultimately, as ABC News reported, the White House did not directly dispute the GIA's numbers. Instead, said Obama prefers to read his PDB on his iPad instead of receiving the all-important live in-person briefings. Now,
yeah, because then they might ask him questions that he can't answer, maybe.
Now, with ISIS controlling over 35,000 square miles of territory and its widening caliphate in Iraq and Syria, and Obama pointing fingers at his own director of national intelligence, James Clapper, for the rise of ISIS, the question remains whether a 42% attendance record on daily intelligence briefings is good enough for most Americans. Yeah, he ain't doing his job.
Right.
That's, yep. I mean...
well, that way he could say, I didn't know about it.
Now, guys, wouldn't that be considered an impeachable offense?
Oh, he has committed so many impeachable offenses. But, you know, Congress gave him the right because they said impeachment's off the table. So, in other words, that's saying to the president, do whatever you want.
Do whatever the hell you want. That's right. You got 2 more years to just lie around playing golf and oh, I didn't get that intelligence briefing because my freaking iPad broke.
All right. Oh, darn. I forgot to leave it up on the side of the pool and dove in the pool with it.
Oh, and I forgot to charge it this last night. Oh, whoopsie.
I mean, it's so blatant.
It is.
So,
it's making me want to freaking puke. They need to go and arrest him right now. Right now for
along with most of Congress,
endangering the security of the American people. I mean that's there's nothing more damaging than why can't we call national security interests on that? Hello, where the hell are you, FBI? Hello, why don't you go bust Obama? Hello.
Well, and also he's expected to use executive order. It says Obama will make good on executive amnesty pledge.
Oh, my God.
Yep. And let me see. I'm bringing it up.
My hair out,
right? Okay. It says President Obama will make good on his promise to implement executive actions on immigration by the end of the year, Press Secretary Josh Earnest said Sunday. The president had initially pledged to take unilateral action on immigration by the end of the summer, but the White House announced earlier this month that he would hold off until after the midterm elections. White House officials have said Obama was concerned that moving before the midterm elections would make reform a partisan issue and polarize support against it. Although the move was widely seen as a concession to Senate Democrats who were locked in tough re-election battles and begged Obama to hold off. Now, this is nuts. You know,
they're politicizing all this. That's impeachable offense. Hello. I mean, everything this guy is doing is actually not even impeachable. It's criminal. He needs to be charged in a court of law. Come on.
But then our law is all corrupt too, so where do you go from there? You know they're not going to convict him. And then it goes on. The delay has bred new concerns among immigration activists that the president will not ever take the executive action. But Bernis insisted that was not the case. This is a promise the president will keep, Ernest said during an appearance on Telemundo's Enforced con Jose Diaz Ballard. The president has tasked his team with looking at the law and determining what kind of executive authority he can use to try to address the problems of our broken immigration system. They've come up with some good solutions. They will be finalized before the end of the year, and the president will announce them before the end of the year. So, all this is being decided behind closed doors, and then he's going to come out with an executive. The
Right.
executive, though, is only executive orders don't pertain to the public, though. They're not supposed to. They are like things that the president says to his cabinet, and the Senate's up on what should be done. But it's not a law.
You know what?
It's confusing to me.
Hang on. I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
because
look it up and read the definition of that right this minute. Let's see. All right, keep talking.
oh yeah. Well, anyway, it has always confused me, and I did read up on it what executive orders were, but they aren't laws. So why are we being held accountable to them? And like the NDAA and things like that. They're not laws. So I don't know. Have you been able to find the definition? Because I remember reading on it, though. And it's just like orders for his cabinet.
Okay. Oh, this is long as hell.
I kind of just get the gist of it.
Holy crappy. Damn. Okay. Apparently this is like from a law dictionary online, an online law dictionary. This is a presidential policy directive that implements or interprets a federal statute, a constitutional provision, or a treaty. The president's power to issue executive orders comes from Congress and the U.S. Constitution. So right there, executive orders differ from presidential proclamations, which are used largely for ceremonial and honorary purposes, such as declaring National Newspaper Carrier Appreciation Day. Okay? That's what the hell. Okay? That's what is the deal. Executive orders do not require congressional approval. Thus, the president can use them to set policy while avoiding public debate and opposition. Presidents have used executive orders to direct a range of activities, including establishing migratory bird refuges, putting Japanese Americans in internment camps during World War II. Nice. Discharging civilian government employees who have been disloyal following World War II, enlarging national forests, prohibiting racial discrimination in housing, pardoning Vietnam War draft evaders, giving federal workers the right to bargain collectively, keeping the federal workplace drug-free, and sending U.S. troops to Bosnia. My goodness.
Well, what was it? And every president that comes into office can take executive orders out or reestablish them for his term. Like when he went in, like the next president, he could abolish the NDAA if he wanted.
Yeah, if he wanted to.
Mm-hmm. But most of the time, they just carry on. And on is the one where Reagan passed Executive Order 12333, and the NSA is still using that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not law. I mean,
right.
And
well,
I don't know.
It says here that most executive orders are issued under specific statutory authority from Congress and have the force to affect and have I'm sorry, I just totally screwed that up. Let's see. Most executive orders are issued under specific statutory authority from Congress and have the force and effect of law. Such executive orders usually impose sanctions, determine legal rights, limit agency discretion, and require immediate compliance. Federal courts consider such orders to be the equivalent of federal statutes. In addition, regulations that are enacted to carry out these executive orders have the status of law as long as they reasonably relate to statutory authority. An administration action that is carried out under a valid executive order is similar to an agency action that is carried out under the federal statute. In each case, the agency's authority to enact rules and to issue orders comes from Congress. So there you go. It's exactly what you were just asking. That was your answer right there.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the one that I read on it, and it's executive order. United States issue executive orders to help officers and agencies of the executive branch manage operations within the federal government itself. Executive orders have the full force of law. I didn't think they did, but I guess they do.
Yeah.
When they take authority from a power granted directly to the executive by the Constitution or are made in pursuance of certain acts of Congress that explicitly delegate to the president some degree of discrepancy power. So, yeah, I guess it is considered law. I always thought that it was only to, manage his cabinet and agencies, but I guess it's gone further.
Oh, yeah, and but the thing is that it's supposed to be like it's supposed to have with the authority from Congress and and the U.S. Constitution. So if it's unconstitutional, it means it's null and void because it's purely unconstitutional. Has to come from.
But the NDAA is purely unconstitutional.
Absolutely, and that's why it would be null and void. Absolutely. And the same thing with this immigration thing, with this amnesty. It doesn't uphold by the laws that are already existing on the books and constitutionality of it. And this jackass is supposed to be a freaking constitutional lawyer. My butt!
Right, Isn't it funny that no one remembers him from school?
Yeah. Where was he going to school? Like Kenya?
Harvard. Yeah.
Go to school at Harvard.
Huh.
He didn't go to school at no freaking Harvard.
Well, he might have been. Well, yeah, he did because he went on a foreign exchange student loan.
Oh, foreign exchange from where? I thought he was in Hawaii.
I mean, these things have come up over and over, and people, they just ignore them. The facts that how can you go get a grant for being an exchange student if you're a U.S. citizen?
Right, absolutely.
There's so many things. And you know what gets me too now? People, I hear Cruz is debating whether to run. We're going to have the same problem we had with Obama because Cruz is not a natural-born citizen.
Right.
His mother, he was born in Canada. His father was Cuban, Cuban citizen. And the mother is a United States citizen, but she was in Canada when she had him. So he's a Canadian. He has dual citizenship, Canadian and Colombian. But he does not have American citizenship because she didn't apply for it.
See, I don't care what viewpoints the dude has. I don't care if he calls himself libertarian leaning or what. I don't care if he wants to follow the Constitution by the law of the letter. He's not, because the Constitution says that you have to have a citizen. Yes. So that right there is flagrant. And he shouldn't even be freaking considering it if he is anything worth his salt.
It's really going to go by the Constitution. You're right.
Yeah.
Right there. And so anything he says after that, to me, is all lies, no matter how good it sounds. But Obama said a lot of things that sounded good too, and look at where we are.
Right. Exactly.
So, I mean, this needs to come out. People need to realize that a natural born citizen is a person born to both parents being natural born citizens of the United States and on United States soil, unless you're in the military and you are born like in Guam or somewhere else, you are a natural born citizen because you're in the military. But that's the only way you can be. And there's only 3 requirements to be president, and that's natural born citizen, the age of 35 years or older, and has lived in the United States for the last 14 years.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 requirements. Now, why can't we get a president in there that can meet these? They don't even check anymore.
No. Well, this is just ridiculous. I mean, Ted Cruz is not eligible, period.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, wouldn't he if he was, I mean, they all have to have an exploratory meeting, an exploratory period of time, and wouldn't you think that the people worth their salt in that exploratory committee would be like, hello, dude, I think we've got a problem here.
Well, they haven't. They've been asked if anyone, any agency or who investigates whether they meet the requirements, and the committee that does that hasn't done it in probably 20 years. They just stopped doing it.
Well, they're not doing their job then are they?
Right. And we allow, and we're called crazy because we bring up these things, and like even the Supreme Court said, well, the people have voted, so that's all there is to it. It doesn't matter if, he's legit or not. So, and look at the whole time Schwarzenegger was governor of California, he had a special committee, and all they did was work towards getting the Constitution changed so he could run for president.
Oh, I know. He wants to be a dictator. He's actually said that.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be a dictator.
Yeah, well, he tried for 2 years and they couldn't accomplish it. So they haven't. But what's it matter if they change it or not? Because it's being ignored, even by the Supreme Court is so corrupt that. So what if something's going to make it to the Supreme Court? They're bought and paid for too.
Yep, absolutely.
And they're in there for life. That's something that really needs to change.
Oh my God. Could you imagine if they slipped Eric Holder into a Supreme Court position and then we've got Manet back into an Attorney General?
Oh, God.
Oh my God.
And then if we have Hillary for president?
Oh, man. Wouldn't it be time for, like, the country to collectively, like, I don't know.
Move? Just move.
Yeah. Secede from D.C.
More and more states are talking about secession from the United States. I mean, state of Jefferson isn't seceding from the United States. We just want to create a new state.
Right.
But these other states are talking about secession, and Texas is the only state that can really do it without a big vote and everything, because they're the only state that's different there.
Man, if Texas seceded from the United States, I'd freaking move to Texas, man.
Yeah, I read somewhere 42% of the citizens in a survey were agreeable to secession from the United States. But then what would you be? Would you be a country on itself?
Yeah.
Or
yeah, pretty much. It would be like country of Texas or the Republic of Texas. You know what I'm saying?
That's interesting.
Yeah. That's how it works.
Yeah. Wow. But, I mean,
I think people would like really, really. I think that whole thing would be if we had that kind of a cabinet lineup, and then the Supreme Court thing for life. I mean, I can't even imagine.
But that doesn't make any sense at all. You have senior citizens at 97 years old still, deciding what's law and what isn't.
Right, exactly. I even saw it like a couple days ago. Ruth Bader Ginsburg said that she's not resigning. So I don't know. I didn't really read it. I just kind of glanced over that, but something's going on with one of them. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So what does that mean? Oh, there could be a potential door opening here. What timing?
Yeah, and Jax is right. The states are supposed to be independent on themselves. They have their own constitutions. They make their own laws, but yet the federal government comes in and puts their laws on you anyway. It,
That's
it's
right.
it's a mess.
That's exactly right. Thank you, Jax.
Hmm.
We love Jax.
Yeah, he's a good
we
guy. We
love
love
all
all our
our
chat.
chatters. Absolutely.
Yeah. Uh, you know what? We haven't done this in a long time. I think we should give a shout out to our the people that are here. And Dally Nick, Jax, JJ. It shows JJ's in. Oh no, that JJ was from last night. Lady Pitbull, Les Eight, Lumperdi. Wait,
Lumperdeedle.
Lumperdeedle. Yeah, I love that Lumperdeedle. uh, Say's here. Hi, Say. Yiddy, Freelance, Dan T, and 1, 2, 3, 4, Anon. Good morning. We're glad you're here.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for hanging with me and Zorie today.
Yeah.
Oh, look, and Jax is blushing. Isn't that cute?
Yeah, JJ's in Vegas now. And I
yeah.
think he's going to come up here. I'm pretty sure he said he
You guys
would.
are sweet, man.
Yeah, I'd love to meet JJ. I
Oh
mean,
my
he's the one
god,
that
he's
kind of brought me in
awesome.
here.
JJ rocks. He's like he's a very good friend of mine. He came to my house, and he's actually been to my house a couple times now. And I see him at Freedom Palooza, and we chat on Skype and all that. So
I can't
um
wait. I
he
just
just
love the man.
rocks.
He brought me into this, really. I mean, I happened upon the chat room, and, before UCY, but with the other broadcasters. And he actually brought, we got to talking and stuff, and look, here I am, still here.
Yup, me too. I mean, he interviewed me on his radio show, and I've just ended up staying ever since.
Yeah, well, we have this one thing. I mean, prison industry complex. I mean, that's been my passion for years and years. I mean, ever since I found out the using no inmates as slaves and all, and
Hmm.
I love talking with him about that because he understands that he's been there.
That's right.
And yeah, we did shows on it while Jules was on vacation, and it's still going on today, even though we wake up a lot of people. But a lot of people have never even heard of the prison industry. They don't even realize that they are. That's another thing that puts people out of work. Companies have gone out of business because of the prison labor. They only pay them 50 cents, 30 cents an hour, and you know, uh, what is that? Victoria's Secret uses prison laborers, and look at how what she charges for her things. That the prison
Holy
inmates are making.
crap! Oh my god, jeez, I
There's a
haven't
long
bought
list of
anything
them.
from that crap
General
business.
Electric uses them. The phone
Hmm.
companies use them.
Sure.
Telemarketing uses them.
Oh
They
yeah,
make so much money, and it's unaccounted. They don't have to account to anyone for it.
not
And
at all.
and I get their yearly reports, and every year for the last 15 years, their net profit has gone up and up and up and up. It used to be that they could only sell to government agencies. Like all our government agencies had to buy from the prison industry, from Unicor. Uh, Anything, all their office supplies, everything that they bought, the military, the cops, everything had to be bought through the prison industry. Well, then the prison industry went public. They have trade shows where you can go and buy stuff.
Jeez.
It's crazy.
Oh man, I bet you could like put that in YouTube and go look like on YouTube.
Oh yeah, just
Prison
look or
prison
just type
trade
in,
shows, something
yeah,
like that.
put in PIA or Unicor, and there's a couple new ones, and now they're even doing juvenile halls. I mean, this is bad.
Oh, so let's do the child slave labor. Oh,
Hmm.
that's all nice too.
Well, when they really took off was like in what year was it? 1980 or something like that. It's when they implemented minimum maximum uh, uh, sentencing, like 25 years for a joint and that's when the prison industry really took off. And anyone who has run a business knows that low overturn is good for business. When you get an
Uh,
employee in there that you know is going to be there for 25 years, hey, you're seeing dollar signs.
oh,
And
hell yeah.
that's when
Absolutely.
they started putting nonviolent people in prison.
Right.
They're
Well, these are the same freaking entities, those corporations that you just cited, that are also involved heavily with the federal government with shipping in drugs from like opium from Afghanistan, maybe, and maybe it's like cocaine from the cartels in Mexico and Colombia. Mm.
Then they push it out on the public, and then they arrest them, then they put them in prison, and then they make all this money.
That's right. So they're making money off of both ends of that spectrum. Perfect
Exactly.
Hegelian, perfect Hegelian setup.
And the thing is, uh, like life sentence for a joint. I mean, and this was happening, and these sentences, putting people in prison for life, and then non-violent prisoners because they're easier to control. They aren't no real threat to anyone, and they just work them for years. And if you refuse to go to work for them, you get put in solitary.
That's right.
And these private prisons are making so much money, and now the juvenile courts are in on it, and there's so many corrupt judges. And to buy stock into one of these, you have to be either in law enforcement or a politician
Hmm.
or government. It's not open to us.
Oh, that's why, it's like part of insider trading.
Mhm.
I
So
mean,
the first thing, whenever you go to court, the very first thing, and I tell people this over and over, out of your attorney's mouth should be, ask that judge if he has stock in any prison industry. Because if he does, that's a conflict of interest because by sentencing
yeah,
you, he makes money.
that's a very good point, Zorie. Absolutely. I think that's a right on target right there.
It
Fantastic
is.
point.
If I ever got in trouble, that would be the first thing out of my attorney's mouth. And if I bet you anything, it'd be hard finding one that doesn't have
Hmm.
interest in it.
That's right. I think you're right about that. I mean, they all belong to the little secret good old boys club.
Right. And
That's how
see,
it
the
fucking
thing is,
works.
they always make good things bad. When it started out, it was a good thing because what they were doing, they weren't selling to the public or anything, but they were teaching people when they were in prison a trade. So when they got out, there was less of a chance of them coming back. But it just kept progressing until the 80s when it just shot off the rail and they started making money going public and stuff. They literally put Toys R Us out of business, a whole shift, a midnight shift, completely out of business because they moved it over to the inmates working.
Yeah.
When you call, make reservations for planes or for a lot of those people you're talking to are inmates.
Yeah, yeah, you're giving you're giving your your
Your credit card
credit
number,
card
everything.
numbers and social security numbers and stuff to inmates. So, oh boy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's real nice.
And most people don't even know about this. They think, like my landlady, she thinks, well, if they're in prison, they did something to deserve it. And I'm going, not necessarily.
No.
you know, and these mandatory minimums. Now they're trying to take those away. Now they have started giving the judges more leeway on them, but in a lot of states, you could still go to prison for 25 years for a joint.
Yeah, that's right. That
And
that whole that
perfectly
whole
law.
mindset's starting to wane, but it still does exist. You're right.
Yes, it does. And I mean, if you look at our numbers, it's always cracked me up. America, home of the free, with the largest people of it, largest amount of their citizens in prison. How can you say the land of the free?
Exactly. I think like Nevada has still got some pretty tough pot laws.
Yeah, so does Arizona.
Hmm.
Yeah, you can still go to prison for 25 years there for any amount of pot or I don't think pot anymore. I think they've taken it off. And you know another thing, why haven't they moved pot or weed from a Schedule 1? That's up there with heroin. High
Well,
it's more they have it as more dangerous than cocaine. And that still hasn't changed and until we can get that off of Schedule 1, federal government is going to still be arresting people and sending them to prison for weed. And
sure.
even where it's legal in your state, the feds can still come in, close you down, or arrest you for one plant and send you to prison. That's
Oh my
crazy.
God, I hate that. It's
That's
all
the most crazy thing. You can be law abiding and yet you're a criminal at the same time.
sure. Well, that's the double standard that exists within our federal government.
And yet, anyone in politics or a judge or a mayor or anybody, if they get caught with drugs or anything, they go to rehab and then they're right back in office.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't have double standards here. No, not at all.
Yeah.
How could we not
Oh,
miss?
crazy.
Oh, yeah, it is. And I still keep track of what's going on there. And it's saddening that this great country has fallen so far.
Yeah, it's going to continue to follow. Oh my gosh. All right, did you hear? Oh, did you hear that there is a North Texas hospital evaluating a patient for potential Ebola exposure?
I've seen the headlines. I didn't read it. Go for it.
All right, let me try and read this. A North Texas hospital has a patient in isolation as they evaluate them for potential exposure to the Ebola virus. Officials in Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital in Dallas released the following statement Monday night. Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital Dallas has admitted a patient into strict isolation to be evaluated for a potential Ebola virus disease. Oh, now they're calling it disease. Based on the patient's symptoms and recent travel history. The hospital is following all Centers for Disease Control and Texas Department of Health recommendations to ensure the safety of patients, hospital staff, volunteers, physicians, and visitors. The CDC anticipates preliminary results tomorrow. So the patient's travel history and specific symptoms remain unclear, but it is said to involve high fever and vomiting. The name of the patient has not been released. And I'm not going to continue to read this.
Well, aren't the symptoms the same as the common cold, from what I've heard?
Yeah, so
Fever, and, yeah.
exactly. And so it can easily be like overlooked, or I mean it can even resemble food poisoning, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it can easily be misdiagnosed and overlooked, you know? So it's really Ebola. Yeah. And once you
I,
sneeze and get the particulates in the air, I mean, you breathe that in, you're gonna get it too.
yeah, fear mongering. I
Hmm.
just, I, it's just too crazy. Things don't add up with this at all to me.
No, I agree. I'm total in agreement with you, 100%.
Yeah. And anything letting people die so the numbers go up and the fact that Gates is involved, I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Oh
yeah.
my
And
God.
didn't Gates also buy a percentage of stock in Monsanto? Did I read that somewhere?
That I don't know.
Hmm. Well, if it's dirty, Gates will be there, is all I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, read on about that.
Oh, I decided not to read on because we pretty much know the history of the Ebola. It just goes into the history and that it started in Sierra Leone, blah 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 blah.
Oh, okay.
Basically,
So,
know this.
but they don't. How long are they going to keep them?
Well, let's see. Um, the patient had been in the area where Ebola virus exists. Looking at the travel history is the first indicator. Really? The next step is treatment or non-treatment once we get the lab results. There should be a heightened sense of awareness, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Um, the media have, okay.
Well, I still want to know why we aren't sending the cure over there to Africa, since when we bring them home and we treat them, then they're, released from the
they
hospital.
seem to be getting all better.
Mm-hmm. What is it? 2 or 3 of them now have been brought back and then cured and then released from the hospital.
Right.
So
Yeah,
obviously
3 of them.
there is a cure.
Yeah, there's not much more to that.
Mm.
Oh,
Okay. Did you see this one? Coming soon to the library. Humanoid robots.
great.
They can speak in 19 languages and even do Tai Chi.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's a cute little guy though. Westport, Connecticut. They have blinking eyes and an unnerving way of looking quizzically in the direction of whoever is speaking. They walk, dance, and can talk in 19 different languages. About the height of a toddler, they look like bigger, better dressed cousins of Buzz Lightyear. And soon, Vincent and Nancy will be buzzing around the Westport Library, where officials next week will announce the recent acquisition of the pair of humanoids, NAO evolution robots. Their primary purpose to teach the kind of coding and computer programming skills required to animate such machines. While it isn't unusual for public libraries to offer instruction in programming of robots, Westport is the first in the nation to do it with sophisticated humanoid robots made by the French robotics firm Algerian. In a brief demonstration last week, Alex Gianni, the library's digital experience manager, had Vincent kicking a small soccer ball, doing Tai Chi, and taking bows. That's kind of cute, though, But
it's cute now.
Yeah,
it won't be cute down the road.
Yeah, but you see the picture of him, and he just looks so cute.
Well, that's what it always is, You gotta have that freaking carrot and the stick. Oh, look, follow the cute little robot to your death.
Yeah, I know, and that's terrible too that they turn it badly, because the kids do learn. I mean, my daughter had a little robot that taught her math and English, and she did great. But yeah, same thing. I mean, then they'll turn evil.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, follow the little pink fuzzy bunny over the cliff. Yay! Oh, aren't we just such sheep?
Yeah, it's like, the carbon money, the money, if one of the things that they say could evolve is you're born with so many carbon credits, and then when you use them up, your little thing, it's turned off and you die, literally. You can't buy anything, but they say it will be run by a computer, so there's no emotion there, and you see that kind of happening. It's scary.
Oh, absolutely. And it's going to work like that. I don't know, you'll be sitting in some chair that they've designated for you, and then the bottom will just fall out, and then you go down a big chute into a giant meat grinder.
Yeah, or like Logan's Run at 30, when you hit 30, you have to go in the carousel.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what's going on here. Right now, the age is what, 75?
Oh, even less than that.
Obamacare or something, the death panels and all this crap. Yeah. Screw that.
People are having the people that signed up and that have Obamacare. Oh man, they're in. It's so crazy, and the IRS is involved and everything. Now, this is going to be the first tax year since Obamacare really came into effect. And people are just coming unglued when they see their taxes and stuff. And it's harder to file. It's Obamacare is bad, bad.
Well, I've got something right on my screen about Obamacare right now.
Oh, good.
It says Obamacare, new messaging hurdles ahead. Oh, you think? The second Obamacare enrollment season could go negative, but not because of the healthcare's law critics. Obama administration allies are weighing a focus on the loathsome individual mandate and the penalties that millions of Americans could face if they don't get covered. Um, it would be a calculated approach to prompt sign-ups, a task that that the law's supporters expect would be more difficult or at least more complex than its coverage in its coverage's inaugural year. I kind of butchered that. Sorry, guys. There are several challenges. The 2015 enrollment period is shorter. The most motivated Americans are probably already enrolled, and the law is still politically unpopular. Darn these dumb phones that keep ringing here. I'm sorry, guys. I've got to pause it. Okay, that
Okay.
means that even if healthcare, I'm trying, I'm trying to come between the damn rings. All right, that means even if healthcare.gov works well, and it couldn't be worse than that last October's meltdown, proponents are confronting a tough messaging landscape. This is not even worth reading, you guys. I mean, seriously, this is all a bunch of freaking bunk. I can't even deal with it.
Yeah, I was just looking, and it
Screw
says,
reading that. I'm not going to read that. It's a bunch of
yeah.
bullshit.
How about how much money we have spent already just in this one uh attack? It says nearly 1 billion already spent on U.S. military campaign against ISIS. The U.S.-led military operation against the Islamic State, formerly ISIS, militants have likely so far cost between 780 and 930 million dollars, according to an estimate by Washington-based think tank specializing in defense issues. Do you know how many people, how many jobs we could create, how many things that could be done? Our infrastructure, bridges could be repaired. You that
Absolutely. Absolutely. They don't want to do that, though. They don't want to do that. They want to subjugate us and make us all into slaves and bankrupt our bank accounts and take away our land and our
I mean, how
homes.
evil is this? We're killing innocent people. We are taking all our money, and spending it on these jets and these Tomahawk missiles and pure, pure evil.
Jeez. Unbelievable. It is pure evil. And there's what the hell are we? I mean, all we're doing is sitting here bitching about it.
Yeah. I mean, some people say, okay, everybody stop paying taxes, and that would be good if everybody would do it.
Right. But
Because they couldn't come out and arrest everybody,
that's right.
but it takes people have to come together and get over all their little differences and whatever and do something because we are going down fast.
Man, yeah, faster than that we even think. I mean, we're pretty much already into tyranny, like, and to the highest levels. I mean, it's pretty much already too late because no one's doing a damn thing about it.
Hmm. It says here, the estimate is part of a report attempting to forecast how much the operation might cost in the future. It was published on Monday by the Center for Strategic and Budgetary Assessments, that influential with the U.S. Department of Defense. The think tank's defense experts, many of whom are military veterans, have used a figure given by the Pentagon itself, which said that the military operations against the Islamic State cost $530 million through August 26th. Wow, and we've done a lot since then. The group's own estimate covers the period from August 27th through September 24th and is based on what is publicly known about the number of targets struck, the types of aircraft and munitions used, the bases in operations available to U.S. forces in the region, and the number of U.S. ground forces in the region. I thought we weren't going feet on the ground. The various costs associated with military action against the ISIS Islamic State have been reflected in a graphic issued by the CSBA. Wow. I'm going to put this in chat so people can see this. This is, from August to September, we have spent $930 million. That is.
Where's all this freaking money coming from? I thought we were broke.
They're printing it. Oh, you've been to that website, haven't you? Every day, this country spends millions and hundreds of millions of dollars on contracts every day.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just mind-boggling the amount of money that we're putting out every day. The things that have nothing to do with this,
Right.
I mean, but you look at our taxes, and they take it before we even get it. So, and plus they have the printing presses that, at any whim, they just print off money.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, the printing presses have been running continuously nonstop for the past 30 freaking years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, Russia and China, they're about to just take over the world's finances, their money. They're going away from the American dollar, and when they do,
Yeah, that's it. Or when the BRICS happens, which is happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole thing really, really starts taking off, and they start printing their own money.
Or using their own money, their own currency.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I keep thinking about it, because I remember when wasn't it Argentina that, a whole wheelbarrow of money for a loaf of bread.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I that
What's
always
going
comes
here.
to mind. Yep. Every time you go to the store, everything is $2 to $3 higher.
Yes.
I mean, and I mean, I don't see how the stores can keep up with the pricing on it, because it's going up so fast.
It's only going to get worse, too.
Mm-hmm. Especially like with food, because of the production was way down.
That's
and
right.
the places that that did well with their gardening, with their produce and stuff, they aren't set up to provide for the whole country. I mean, that takes time to set up. It's I mean,
right.
they may have good crops, but it's nuts.
Oh my God. Wow, we only have we only have 10 minutes left almost.
Wow, that did go kind of fast, huh?
It did, yeah.
But there's just so much out there.
There is so much to cover. It's impossible to cover it all in a 2-hour show, or even the whole week show. You know what I mean? Even though
we have shows all day long to inform our people that listen to us.
That's right.
Yeah, different views of things. I love this because everyone has a view on something, and I love to agree to disagree. That's how you learn.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't take anybody, take everything with a grain of salt until you figure it out and investigate it yourself. Right.
And there are, to be closed-minded, I think is such a disservice to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you listen and evaluate what you're hearing, and of course you do go in with prejudice, no matter what it is, on what issue. You already have what you believe, and you're going to look for what you believe in what they're saying. And if they don't, then you kind of. But I've taught myself to listen to the people that I disagree with, mostly, and try and see from their point of view. And through my life, I've changed my mind many a times when I really listened to what people were saying, and then use my common sense, which is lost in a lot of people today.
Yeah.
But and use your common sense about most things, even before you go and investigate it, because a lot of times those people that are saying things that you didn't believe, when you really think about it and put your dots together, all of a sudden you're going, wait a minute, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you learn something that new that you didn't learn that you never knew, and that's always a good thing. I always say, hey, it's good to
Oh
learn something
yeah.
new every day, I mean, but people who like run around that are crazy narcissists that think they freaking know it all and they don't need to know anymore, that's why this country's going down at hell in a handbasket. It's people like
Right.
that.
And when they start calling names is when you know that they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Exactly. And they start like um putting you in a little box.
trying to,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, oh, you're
Yeah, that's the first giveaway is when someone starts uh attacking you instead of discussion. That's the first sign that you're right and they're wrong.
yeah, and oh, you're against vaccines? Well, you're an anti-vaxxer.
Hmm.
You believe 9/11 was an inside job. Well, you're one of those truthers. Ew. You know
Right.
what
You're
I mean?
labelous. I hate labels.
Ridiculous.
I hate labels.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate like people go, are you Republican or Democrat? I'm Doty. That's it.
Right,
You
right.
know, I don't pledge my allegiance to any of those. I mean, there are people, no matter if they agree with what they're voting on, they will vote according to party. And they don't get it that it's just a division.
Right. Oh, I got attacked last year. I think I mentioned this too on air. It was like during the Ann Arbor Hash Bash that I attended, and this fool was trying to get me to sign a petition, like to get um, John Dingle's wife on the ballot, and I'm like, I am not signing that. I'm not signing that at all. And then I got attacked. And I'm just like, come on, you guys. I mean, this is like dinosaur blood here we're perpetuating. I mean, come on, let's get somebody fresh and new in there. What the hell are you going to keep the crusty underwear around for? You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And perpetuate crusty underwear policies. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I've a lot of times gone, in the stores they sit out in front a lot of times and have you sign, petitions. And I don't know how many I've just walked away from because I tell them, okay, and they start telling me what it says, and I go, well, I'll read it, and then I'll decide to sign it or not. And while I'm trying to read it, they'll keep saying things, saying things, saying things. Finally, I put it down, and they'll go, what, aren't you going to sign it? And I go, well, you don't allow me to read it, and I'm not signing nothing I don't read.
That's
You know,
good.
and they have professionals now. They have to state that they aren't from your area, but they're paid to go there and sit there and get these petitions signed. And I think they're paid by the amount of signatures they get.
Probably.
Yeah. So I always ask them too, are you from this area or are you a paid person to be out here with them? And they tell you straight up.
Hmm.
And sometimes
Most.
I'll sign it because it is what it is important. And after I read it, I'll sign it, whether they're from this county or not. They're out there to get this petition through. And I agree with it. And I don't know.
Well, most people don't have the wherewithal to even ask that question to these people.
Yeah, and usually the ones that are hired are the ones that keep talking when you're trying to read it.
Right.
I notice. But a lot of people are too busy, and a lot of these petitions are important. They're what get things on your ballot locally, and so they hire people. So I agree with it in that way. But when they keep talking over you and trying to feed you stuff, information, then it's wrong. So.
Oh my God, the last petition that I was approached with, the guy looked like kind of like a scruffy old character,
Mhm.
and he he approached me, and I thought, okay, here comes maybe a cool, like, maybe Mark Dice setup kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Uh
I was kind of
huh.
hoping for something like that, so I could catch him or whatever. But no, he was. It was a petition to save the Michigan Wolves, and
Oh yeah.
yeah. So I was like, no, I don't think I'm gonna sign that. And because the other day I almost hit a coyote, and the guy's face like turned totally white, ghost white. He was like totally mortified that I even said that, but it was true. I had almost hit a coyote like the night before. So
Mm.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy, man.
Last one I signed was against co-ed bathrooms.
Oh, well, that's kind of good. That would be one that I would sign.
Right. Who wants their teenage daughter and teenage boys going to the bathroom in the same bathroom? I mean, it's
Right. Well, I
crazy.
think it's for this transgender crowd.
Mhm. But still,
Yikes.
you know,
I think that
that's
I would
that.
sign that.
Well, yeah, but that passed here. They haven't put it in effect yet, but yeah.
Where you are, there's co-ed
Uh-huh.
bathrooms?
Well, they got enough petitions to put it on the ballot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So there's this little, I guess this is what we'll end, I guess, today's show on. There's something called a Nixie, and it's a tiny flying drone camera that launches from your wrist to take selfies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's going to be, and my page is jumping around again. It's going to be, the next best thing at Christmas. It's going to be the next hottest Christmas toy, where everybody will be wanting this wearable camera on a wristband that transforms into a tiny quadcopter flying drone.
That reminds me of that lady on the beach that beat up that guy that had that drone circling her.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guaranteed in like 2-3 years' time, they're gonna be everywhere, these little things. If
Oh
they,
yeah, but they gotta be running into each other and everything. I mean, let alone the airplanes if they do get up that high. But I mean, how are they gonna avoid running into each other? We'll have them delivering items and.
sure, sure. And then, so it says, physics researchers at Stanford University are developing a wearable tech wristband that turns into a tiny flying drone that launches from a user's wrist to take selfies of the wearer. Nixie is a finalist in the Intel's Make It Wearable Challenge, in a competition to encourage investors and entrepreneurs to push the boundaries of wearable technology. The researchers must now create a working prototype of their invention with the help from industry mentors in order to win a grand prize of $500,000. The Nixie was originally designed as a pair of glasses, but the team realized it would be more useful as a wristband. The idea is that the wearer can press a button which turns the wristband into a tiny quadcopter drone that launches immediately from the person's wrist. There's an accompanying video here that I'll post in the chat room after I. Oh, you know what? We are almost out of freaking time anyway.
Oh
So,
wow.
I'll just post this. I'll post this video in the chat so everybody can check that out. But in the meantime, um, stay tuned to UCY.TV for more awesome, totally awesome programming. Next is Post Ignorance with Kevin Blanche, guys. Don't miss Kevin. I don't know if he's still in New York. Probably not, but he probably isn't. But at 1, we've got The Edge with John Stokes, and at 3 is the Jack Blood Show. And at 6, guys, is the Ocellia Check with Chuck Ocelli. It's Tuesday night, everybody. Awesome Tuesday evening programming. 8 o'clock is the Continual Condition with Jonathan and Steven. And then at 9 o'clock, guys, is All Things Apocalyptic with G. Michael Hoff. Yeah. And then at 10, we've got Primer Time with Dan and Michael. That's one of my favorite shows. And 11 is Prepper Chicks After Dark, and she plays Conflicted on air. And so don't miss any of the great programming here. I thank everybody for listening. And thank you, Zorie, for being on. Another day down. And oh, it looks like JJ's in the chat room. Hey, JJ, we love you. Hope you had a good trip. Hope you're having a good trip. Love and respect, dude, from UCY crew.
All right. Yay, JJ. I hope you're having fun on your road trip.
Yeah.
I know he is. Thanks for hanging. We love you guys. Have a great day.
Absolutely. Have a good day. See you tomorrow.